The 95 timed event championship of the world, TNN tonight. You're watching TNN, the Nashville Network, the #1 source for country music, entertainment, and information.
Attention wrenchers, announcing a major breakthrough. Eliminate costly damage from abrasive wrenching and stop using ineffective remedies that just don't work. Now, there's a time-saving product that protects all surfaces from wrenching damage. Presenting durable Nomar wrench inserts. Nomar precision inserts easily fit your tools to protect surfaces while wrenching. This lug and wheel were wrenched without Nomar inserts. Look at all that damage.
And check it out, auto racing fans. It is the live coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. It's the Food City 500, so make sure and stay tuned to that. This has been a Winter Communications production in association with ESPN.
From high overhead, Bristol International Raceway looks pretty serene. Trust me on this one. Looks are a little deceiving. Stand by for the action. Well, serenity is not what these folks have come here looking for. They came to Bristol for a celebration of speed, and it is about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to Bristol International. Dave Despain, NASCAR2Day special pre-race edition, and look who I found right out of the box to kick off the show. Talk about excitement. We got it right here. Going for the 8th championship, Dale Earnhardt. I want to ask you about this qualifying deal. Last year you set a record here by winning the race from 24th spot. So this year you come back and qualify 25th, so you can set another record. Did you do that on purpose?
Hopefully I did, but I didn't do it on purpose. No, but hopefully we will win from there. But, you know, Bristol's a tight racetrack. It's really fast, and just tenths make a difference, hundredths make a difference in qualifying. But once the race gets going, it seems like everybody's running the same pace. A few of the cars will be really fast at the start, but we hope to mid-race and beyond we'll be in the contention for things. We try to get up through the field and catch the cautions right and get some pit stops right. We'll be okay.
Talked to Childress yesterday, and he said, you know, we were talking about Darlington. He said 10 years ago, Earnhardt would have been up there in the middle of all those wrecks, but now he's matured and he stays out of trouble, and that's why we're so consistent. One, do you buy that? And two, how important is that going to be here today to stay out of trouble?
It's going to be important that I hadn't used up all my luck so far this year. I'm going to need some luck today, and really that's going to be the job at hand to start with, is to be out of trouble and watch what's going on. And it is a tight racetrack. It's a competitive racetrack. Look at all these race fans sitting right here watching for this show to start. It's really going to be exciting. So we just got to watch it and take it easy and try to be there at the end. That's the program. Be around at the end. You could win a race.
All right, man. I only got to work a half hour today. You got a long day, so you better go to work, right?
Half an hour?
Yeah, I'm off at 1 o'clock.
You were live all day.
No, man. I'm punching out at 1 o'clock.
Easy little 500 lapper. We'll be okay.
Okay, go get him. That's Dale Earnhardt going for the 8th wins here. He's going for 9 and for the 8th championship. Now, it's crazy down here. You got all the photographers. There's no garage area, so anybody with an infield pass can come down here looking for an autograph, and it's nuts. It's a little more calm up on top, where Bob Jenkins is going to be calling the action later today. Is it serene up there, Mr. Jenkins?
It is serene right now. By the way, why aren't you wearing a tie? It's serene right now, but believe me, when the green flag drops and we get that first caution, and it's not a question of if we get the first caution, it's when. Ned and Benny are going to be yelling my ear, and we're going to have some real fun here this afternoon. You know, the other thing I like about coming to Bristol, the incredible enthusiasm that the fans show. Unfortunately, John Kernan is right in the middle of them.
Not unfortunately, Bob. It is fortunately. They're expecting to have over 75,000 people sitting here in the grandstands today. You're going to watch the race. I'm up on row 4. You almost need goggles because you're going to get a little rubber kicked up with dust. But here you got to have your cold drinks, your donuts, but you never know who you're going to meet. I met Juanita. She is from my hometown, 800 miles away, Bismarck. Park, Missouri. Now let's go down to the grid and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thanks, John. You know, aside from safety, NASCAR's #1 priority is competition, and they've got to be pleased with this starting lineup today. From first to last in qualifying, just 27 hundredths of a second, less than 3/10. And we told you early in the week they went to the wind tunnel and tested all three brands to see how equal they were. Well, let me tell you how equal they are. Take a look here. On the pole is a Ford. Yes, Ford manufacturer. On the outside front row, we have your basic Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And behind these two qualifying third is Kyle Petty's Pontiac. Ford, Chevy, Pontiac. Sounds pretty even to me, Dave.
Here is a picture of parity, Doc. We got the drivers of those three cars right here. Driver introductions are on the card right now. We are inside 30 minutes till the moment that they fire the engines. Driver introductions, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, meet Kyle Petty. It's been a long time since he was up here in this neighborhood. You usually qualify about 33rd, and you're third today. What'd you do to turn this deal around?
I don't know. You're being generous giving me 33rd. I'm going to tell you what. And this is the first time I've been inside the top 40 in about 2 years. I don't know what we did. We just came up here and got a good lap, had a good car, and everything worked good for us.
Is he welcome to the party? Are you guys okay with him being up here in front with you?
You bet. I'm glad to see it.
Listen, the kid next to you has been winning all the poles, but Mark Martin, you popped a great lap here to take the pole for this race. What was the secret to knocking this guy off?
It was just going to take a great lap. We had a fast car, and I think that was the biggest secret, and we had a good lap.
What about that tire secret that you talked about on our show yesterday?
Well, people want to make a big deal. If you do anything different, they want to make a big deal out of it. I don't think there was anything there. We had a fast car in practice, and we got a great lap. We chose to do a little bit different on our tires than most people, but I don't know that was an advantage.
You had an exciting lap. You about threw the thing out of the ballpark, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard they had that on TV. I didn't want anybody else to know about that, but it got very exciting coming off turn 2. Everybody was saying, well, don't do it on your first lap, do it on the second lap, and for some reason I had to be bullheaded like I am and tried to do it on the first lap, and it bottomed out a little bit on me coming off of 2, but we just made a good, clean, smooth lap the second lap, and we're happy with second. I mean, we figured we were about a 4th or 5th fastest car. We knew Mark was going to knock us off there at the end. I was already dressed and ready to head out the racetrack when he went.
All right, good luck, guys. There's your front row, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. And we want to talk now about this business of the wind tunnel. They took 3 brands to the tunnel last week, NASCAR, to do a bunch of tests. Time now to get the post-test report, and we'll get that from our Alan Bestwick and NASCAR2Day. Alan, what's the story down there?
Well, Dave, I'm with the man in charge of all that, Mike Helton, NASCAR's Vice President of Competition. Mike, did you get the information in the wind tunnel test you were looking for? And if so, what happens to it now?
Alan, we're not really sure if we got what we've got. We didn't really go with any predetermined question, so we weren't searching for any predetermined answer. It was a good opportunity to take all 3 makes to the tunnel, and with the cooperation of Ford and General Motors and Lockheed and the McClure team and Richard Petty team and the Bobby Allison teams, we were able to do it. What we'll do is just try to piece all of the information together, make sense out of it, and then take it from there. That could take us some time, though, because there's a lot of information there.
All right, Mike, thank you for your time. I know it's busy on race day. Have a good day today. Mike Helton, NASCAR's Vice President of Competition. Now, all this leaves us with a few unanswered questions. Do the Chevys really have a big advantage over the Ford? Do bodies and downforce really matter here today at Bristol? And if a Ford wins today, does that hurt their lobbying effort with NASCAR trying to get some rules concessions? Dave?
All right, I got that all written down, Alan. I have our 3 questions noted, and I got a couple of experts, the guys with the ties, who can answer those for us. But we better get a break in here quickly because this thing's going to go all day long. It is crazy down here. The guys with the ties, of course, are Ned and Benny, and they're going to join our telecast here 26 minutes and 30 seconds from the start of the engine. We are warming things up at Bristol International Raceway. It's NASCAR today. We're live, and we'll be back to look further into the Ford and Chevy story in just a moment. I have moved down from the podium where they're introducing the drivers down here to the middle of the craziness. Can you see all these people back here? They're all just dying to get an autograph, but mostly we're all waiting the start of the engines. About 24 minutes, they'll light them up and go racing here in the Food City 500. Questions of the day. Does Chevy have an advantage in 95 Winston Cup? Is that advantage lessened here at Bristol? And if a Ford wins here, does it hurt the lobbying effort? We got some different opinions about the aerodynamic impact at Bristol from 3 different car camps.
It's relatively slow. It's high-speed track for a half mile, but that's still relatively low-speed aero-wise. So I don't think that'll be a big issue here.
You're badly mistaken if you think that downforce doesn't matter here. Badly mistaken.
It won't make any difference because normally after about 20 laps, aren't any hood and fenders.
That's the Bristol story right there. They're going to beat them to pieces here today. Let's go to the guys with the ties. They have both won on this racetrack. Ned Jarrett drove the very first race here. Ned and Benny, what do you think about all this business of aerodynamics, Chevy versus Ford? What's your take on that?
Go ahead, Ned. I can't wait to hear the answer for this.
I tell you, it seems really on the tracks that we've run on so far that the Chevrolets do have an aerodynamic advantage. They seem to have a little bit more downforce than the Fords.
It seems that way, but here at Bristol, I agree with Barry Dodson. It really doesn't matter a great deal here at Bristol. Maybe a little bit of downforce, but yesterday my brother Phil in a Busch Grand National race crashed, and he told me his car was just as fast after he knocked all the fenders off the right side as it was beforehand.
Well, that's interesting because I was going to argue with you because I believe that downforce is important here at Bristol because they're running, what, 135, 140 miles an hour on the straightaways here. But, you know, time will tell how that will work. Well, how about if Ford wins here today? Is that going to take away their lobbying ability?
I don't think so, because I think NASCAR is going to look at the next 4 or 5 races, here the next 3 short tracks, Talladega and the road course, and I don't think that anyone really and truly has that big of an advantage at these 5 racetracks. It's going to be the teams racing each other, and thank God I can say that it's not a manufacturer that has an advantage, it's teams racing each other.
I agree with you totally on that one, Benny. Let's go back to Dave now.
All right, guys, appreciate the insight. I guarantee you, every one of those people, and there will be 75,000 of them here today, every one of those people has a very strong opinion about Ford versus Chevrolet. Yesterday, of course, a lot of talk about this whole wind tunnel deal and how it affected a couple of teams in particular, and I want to go to Jerry Punch and get one side of that story, the story involving last week's winner, Sterling Marlin. Jerry?
Well, Dave, a lot of drivers at Darlington were going to bring the same car here to Bristol, and a lot of them were saying, man, I'm glad my car got a busted fender so I don't have to worry about going to the wind tunnel. This guy, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, won at Darlington last week, and therefore your car made a little trip across the country. How tough was it to get the race car you're going to run today back from the wind tunnel?
Well, it wasn't too tough on the guys. They left, I guess, Wednesday night, and it was back 8 o'clock Thursday morning, and, you know, 8 o'clock I had the car stripped, and just did a complete overhaul and loaded at 3 o'clock that evening, so it wasn't too hard on them.
Now, you started 5th at Darlington, but today you start closer to Abington than Bristol. You're back in 31st spot. What happened in qualifying?
We just totally missed it. You missed it Friday, and we got going good. It was one of the fastest cars yesterday evening, but we're starting way back, and you just have to take our time going through the field and see if we can slip up there and get another win. It'd be nice to win here at Bristol. It's against Tennessee, and Abington just right up the road, so we sure try.
Sterling Marlin will start 31st, but he's got a lot of company back there with him, Dave.
You know what happened here? They just introduced Dale Earnhardt a moment ago, and a lot of people cheered and a lot of people booed. It was remarkable. Where are we going next, guys? We're going to talk about Derek Cope. That's the other side of that car that went to the wind tunnel story. Let's go to John Kernan. He's got that.
Dave, I'm standing by with Derek. He's just waiting to get introduced and get cheered by all these 70,000, 75,000 plus fans. And Derek, you guys plan to run the car that you at Darlington that you, I mean, let me do that again. The car you ran at Darlington, you wanted to run here, but you were unable to do that, but you still qualified 4th, so you came through with a pretty good car.
Well, we did. You know, we wanted to bring the Darlington car. Of course, it was impounded, and we couldn't do that. So we brought the Richmond car, which we had a good run with there, and we're hoping to take it to Wilkesboro. But she performed well under pressure, and we'll see if we can't keep it up front today. But I want to thank Barry Pearson, who's up in New Hampshire at this time. He's fighting leukemia, and Barry, I know that you're always pulling for us, and we're here with our prayers for you. Take care.
As are all our prayers. Let's go back down to Dave.
I'm not sure if it's a coincidence, but the fact that the guys who wanted to run their car and didn't get to qualified 4th, and the guys who got to run the car that they wanted to ended up back in the back strikes me as an interesting coincidence. What do we got here? Inside 20 minutes, they're going to light them up and go in Bristol. 500 laps around this place will drive you crazy, but it'll be fun to watch. Stick around. We'll be right back. The view from high overhead Bristol International Raceway, provided by the Family Channel Blimp as they continue their nationwide tour in support of the children of America, and with a special interest, of course, in the number 16 car here, as the Family Channel colors will be piloted by Ted Musgrave. Let's give a listen to driver interviews. Where are we in the field?
Chevrolet from Portland, Oregon, Chuck Bound.
Yeah, Chuck Bound starts 16th here today. Gets a big round of applause. Fans are all happy to see him back into action after that injury. 16 cars into the field. This is going to be a 36-car field, and they're lined up. We're right down here in the heart of the action. I want to tell you about who's not here, though, because that was a big story in qualifying. This is the second anniversary, of course, of the death of Alan Kulwicki, then the Winston Cup champion right here at Bristol, and a sad anniversary it is. And the Hooters team, of course, went with Loy Allen as their driver after Allen was killed. And ironically, on this second anniversary weekend, Loy Allen has resigned as the driver of that car. Hooters says they will stay with the team as a sponsor. Hut Strickland jumped into the car to try to qualify it and failed to do so. And he was doing double duty this week because he had previously been hired to come in as the coach for the Kinzer effort and try to get Steve Kinzer up to speed and into the field. That effort failed. Kinzer did not make the show. Here is the rundown of the drivers who did not make it. And for Kinzer, it was painful. He has only one provisional left, and he was not able to use it here because he didn't have enough points to go with it. So Kinzer, notable among the drivers who did not make the field here today. There's been a lot of speculation that he was going to be out of there as the driver of that automobile. But his team says, As a matter of fact, his team manager went out of his way to seek me out yesterday and said, I want to get on television to tell everybody how we feel about our driver, Steve Kinzer.
The guy's only been to 5 races, and I just, like the media's been real hard on him, and, like they anticipate driver changes and what have you, but Kenny and Steve and I sat down, we discussed all this, and we knew it was going to be hard. And if Steve Kinzer's man enough to go out there and take all the harassment and the humiliation that he's been taking, I think ought to be tough enough to stand in there with him. And that's, that's where I'm coming from. And, as far as I'm concerned, there's no driver change in the future for me.
Sounds like a vote of confidence if I ever heard one. There is also great confidence, speaking of Winston Cup rookies, in the camp of Ricky Craven. He said, man, it's going to be tough for us young guys these next 3 weeks with these short tracks coming up. Went out and popped the 7th fastest qualifying lap of the weekend, and he's standing by with John Kernan. John.
Well, actually, we look a lot alike, Dave. It's Jerry Punch, but I'm with Ricky Craven. And, Ricky, you talked about the fact that it's going to be tough on rookies to qualify these short tracks. I mean, you've qualified twice in the top 10. You start 7th today. You got to feel pretty good about your shot.
Yeah, it's not only tough for us rookies. It's tough for all the competitors. It's the focus going into the weekend. And if you're fortunate enough to get through Friday, have a good top 20 qualifying, then you get excused for Saturday. But Friday and Saturday are the focus. And then if you get through that, it's Sunday.
3 times he's been the top finishing rookie this year. He starts 7th today. It's a good racetrack for him. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
I'll let you head to the race car. It's getting ready, getting closer to race time, Dave.
Jerry, John, Ned, Benny, Bob, we got so many announcers on this telecast, I can't keep them straight. Pit crews are getting ready for the action. We're getting close to firing up the engines. NASCAR Today is live from Bristol, getting ready to light them up for 500 laps. Stick around for the Food City 500. Big wreck last weekend at Darlington. One of, what were there, Ned, Benny? 40 or so crashes up there. This was one of them. This was the worst in terms of injury. Bobby Labonte came out of this with a broken shoulder blade, and as a result has had to go to a strategy here this weekend of starting the car and then going to a replacement driver. And I believe that's the guy we're going to hear from next, because that is going to be a big disadvantage here on a racetrack where they run 16-second laps. Let's find out from Jerry Punch how that's going to play out here today.
Well, David Green is the defending Busch Series champion. And, David, when did you find out that your job description was going to change this week?
Well, I was busy working in the shop, and Bobby had me in there, and Donna called me, his wife, and said, we need to go to Charlotte. So I said, what for? And she said, come on, we got to go. So riding down to Charlotte, he said, well, might get to drive that Interstate Battery Chevrolet this weekend. And I just about jumped out the door for excitement.
So you thought what was a shopping trip ended up being a trip to the race car garage. How are you going to play today? What happens at the beginning of the race?
Well, our plan is, as usual, for Bobby to start, to get those driver points and even the car owner points for Joe Gibbs Racing. But, you know, Bobby's still sore. The Interstate Battery Monte Carlo is awesomely fast, and I'm just trying to learn as quick as I can. But I'm going to step in for him when he needs it. Hopefully he'll go for a long time, but if not, I'll be ready.
And gentlemen, they have been very, very pleased with watching this young man in the car. He has been extremely fast in practice here, subbing for Bobby Labonte.
Wish him a good run here this weekend. I've been thinking all week, Benny Parsons, about that Darlington deal. I've never seen such a crash fest up there, but then I'm not as old as you are. Did you see that as a dramatically different Darlington based on the fact that they put the new pavement on the place?
David, I can't believe it. Everyone says, I've never seen anything like that before. All those crashes. Folks, you should have been going to Darlington in the 70s because it happened each and every time, both in April and in September when we go back there for the Mountain Dew Southern 500. Crash, failed to fair. There we see Greg Sachs backing in the wall. Here's a 33 car. Robert Presley spinning down in turn 1, backs in the wall. And here Michael Waltrip, Mark Martin, and Rusty Wallace get tangled up on a restart. Another crash coming off the corner. It's like that every time we go to Darlington. And coming to Bristol is no piece of cake.
It's not going to be much different, Ben. In fact, the record was set here for caution flags a few years ago when it's like 20 caution flags. Who knows what will happen. If yesterday was any indication in the Busch race, I think that we will see some action here today. Just time after time, there were like 8 cautions in the first 100 laps of the Goodies 250 here yesterday, so I think we will see a lot of action. Steve Grissom, of course, came home the winner. Mark Martin second, Chad Little third, Kenny Wallace fourth, and Terry Labonte in 5th place. 6th through 10th, Johnny Benson, Brad Teague, Mike Wallace, Curtis Markham, and Jason Keller. Okay, we'll be back with more from Bristol right after this.
Behind me, Jeff Bodine has just buckled in, made the unequivocal prediction on local television last night that a Ford will win this 6th race of the 1995 season. He'll be starting over here on the front stretch pits. There are back stretch pits as well here, and that could be a big story in terms of the 1995 out of the frying pan and into the Fire 500. And for that story, I want to hear from John Kernan. John?
Well, I'm with Dale Jarrett. He starts 19th. There are 19 front row pit stalls, but Dale Earnhardt, who qualified 25th, the defending national champion, he gets one of those, so Dale's kind of the odd man out. You've got to go to the backstretch pits. What are your thoughts on that?
Qualify better. That's all I can say. You know, it's something that is for the champion, and, you know, whether you like it or you don't, you know the rules, so it's just a matter I should have qualified a little bit faster.
Well, yesterday in the Busch race, Steve Grissom qualified a little bit slower. He pitted on the backstretch, but he won that race. Now let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
For you fans who want to come to Bristol, Tennessee and have never been here, I encourage you definitely to come. You know, they're trying their darndest to build seats as fast as they can. Behind me, they have put 3,300 additional seats in. They were sold out immediately. And also they put 10 25-seat suites up in turns 3 and 4. They sold those suites in 38 minutes. And folks, I am told they had an engineer come and look at the racetrack and predicted they could put as many as 103,000 seats at Bristol Raceway. That would make this facility the largest sporting arena in Tennessee. And for you football fans, that means it's even larger than Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And folks, that is some kind of place to watch a race. Dave?
All right, the clock continues to tick. We're getting close to the start. 5 minutes from now, they will fire the engines. Shortly thereafter, they will send them off on 500 tours of this half-mile racetrack. The steepest banked track on the Winston Cup circuit is 36 degrees, and getting around this place 500 laps safely is going to be the key to victory here today. It's going to be a terrific show. Bob Jenkins will be calling the action. Ned and Benny analyzing it for you. Of course, Doc and John will be pit side with every single bit of it. We're going to wrap things up here for NASCAR Today. Remember, Motor Racing Network has NASCAR Today on the radio on your MRN stations all week long. Next week, NASCAR Today, split deal. I'm going to Tucson. Alan's going to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and keep you up to date on all the Winston Cup action. That ought to be pretty cool. That is the bottom line on where we'll be next week. I certainly hope you will stick around here at Bristol because things are about to get crazy. Thanks very much for being part of NASCAR today. We'll say so long and take a quick moment to introduce the guy who's going to call the action. When we come back, it's going to be Bob Jenkins of the Food City 500.